Throughout the history of Formula 1, there were several Austrian F1 drivers who made their mark in the history of the sport. From Alexander Wurz, who was probably one of the tallest F1 drivers of all time, to Gerhard Berger, who collected several victories driving for top teams like Ferrari, McLaren and even Benetton. The most famous one, of course, was Niki Lauda, three-time F1 World Champion in 1975, 1977 and 1984, multiple-time Grand Prix winner and probably one of the best paid drivers of the sport. But you perhaps only know him through the fantastic movie Rush from 2013 and his near-death at the Nürburgring of 1976. Speaking of 1976, there was another Austrian driver desperately trying to qualify for a Formula 1 race and to fulfill his dream of competing against the very best of the sport. Not only did he fail to qualify for a race, but when he theoretically was allowed to start, he was already at his way back home and couldn't start. His competitors also tried to stop him ever hitting a track ever again due to his lack of experience and speed. Forget your Taki Inoue, your Johnny Car Washes and your Jordi Delatras. Here is the short but amusing story of Otto Stuppacher. Otto Stuppacher was born on the 3rd of March 1947 in Vienna, Austria. He is the son of a very wealthy family where money was never an issue. Not much is known about his profession, as some claimed his job was simply being a son. Yeah. Nevertheless, he fell in love with the sport we all enjoy week in and week out. From 1969 onwards, he occasionally competed in hill climb endurance racing, without much success, apart from 7th place finish in Spa of 1970 in the European Sports Car Championship. Fun fact, did you know that Stuppacher also partnered with the one and only Niki Lauda for one race at the Österreichring, where the pair only finished in 21st. In his hill climb career he claimed some success, winning the 1971 Austrian Mountain Championship. But after that, not much success came after, and after a brief hiatus from 1973 to 1974, he returned in 1975 to the World Championship for Makes at the Österreichring, retiring from the race. In 1976, a local Austrian operation called ÖASC Racing Team purchased an older 007 chassis for around $20,000. Man, racing cars were cheap back then. A Cosworth V8 engine and some Goodyear tires. With a decent driver, the 007 was still able to show some decent results, as evidenced by Italian driver Alessandro Rossi, who was able to race in the midfield with that car. Nevertheless, the ÖASC Racing Team offered Stuppacher to race at the Austrian Grand Prix, alongside fellow Austrian Karl Oppitzhauser. Oppitzhauser was a car dealer who mostly raced in touring cars. So you've got the following scenario. A team entering a decent chassis with two completely inexperienced drivers who have close to zero open wheel experience to a round of the top tier racing series. No wonder the organizers of the Austrian GP denied their entries. Apparently, Stuppacher then tried everything he could to be allowed to participate, even going as far as trying to gain some support from people in the paddock, but it didn't work and the organizers sent him away. Whilst Oppitzhauser realized that it was best not to try it again, Stuppacher carried on. At the Italian Grand Prix, the event where Niki Lauda made his unforgettable comeback to F1 after his horrifying accident in Nürburgring, Otto Stuppacher was finally able to participate at the event. It quickly was apparent that Otto was way out of his depth, as he ended qualifying in last, over 13 seconds off the pace from pole sitter Jacques Lafitte in the Ligier, and over 11 seconds slower than Piacenti Rossi in the other 007. Normally I would have told you that he did not qualify for a race and that he stopped trying to participate in F1, but of course things went a bit differently. McLaren drivers James Hunt and Jochen Maas, plus the Penske John Watson, were disqualified from qualifying due to a few irregularities, and as a result, their times from a wet Friday qualifying session was taken. That meant that Otto Stuppacher moved up to 26th and was theoretically allowed to race. The problem was that Stuppacher, probably disappointed by his performance, travelled back home to Vienna and was therefore not able to start. And because Arturo Mesario and Guy Edwards also pulled out, all three disqualified drivers took part in the race. The next stop for the F1 circus was in Canada, And oh look, Stuppacher arrived too. And once again, his lack of talent and experience showed, as he was over 12 seconds slower than the pole time from James Hunt and was not allowed to start. This time, multiple people in the paddock, including Ronnie Peterson and Carlos Reutemann, were actively trying to get Otto Stuppacher to throw the towel and get the race director to ban Stuppacher from hitting the track again due to safety concerns due to his lack of speed. Nevertheless, Otto still didn't give up. At Watkins Glen, he somehow managed to be 20 seconds slower than the pole time from Hunt. Apparently he didn't get the softer tires from Goodyear and had to revert to fuel from a local gas station. But 27 seconds? Thankfully for the whole F1 world, this was his final appearance in F1 paddock, and his final known participation at a motorsport event. He just went on to live his life, until he was found dead on the 13th of August 2001 in his room. Stories like this one really shows how different F1 was back in the 70s, with many drivers without the qualification to warrant a start in Formula 1. But hey, at least they didn't stole anyone a seat unlike modern paid drivers would. Otto Stuppacher's time in Formula 1 could be perfectly summarized by this quote from Niki Lauda. Asked about Stuppacher's DNQ in Canada, he said, "It's a pity. Stuppacher could have held up Hunt for me. The thanks of the nation would certainly have been with him." And that's all for this short little video guys, thank you so much for watching and see you next time.